bring it up here. So Lifecoach pretty much brought standard stuff, right?
I don't know if I'd say that. He didn't have Warlock. Like,
True.
and
Yeah,
they
he
were
didn't
like
have Warlock.
standard lists for what they were, but their lineup was actually kind of interesting.
He did bring Hunter. So he brought Shaman, Druid, Warrior, Hunter, and Rogue. Shaman, you're what you would expect. Mid-range Shaman. Druid is just that very popular token. You know, he didn't have Yogg at the end of his deck. So this is like your standard token.
And a Nourish, and then he removed a Raven Idol, and he had Sylvanas, which was strange.
Oh, true, he did have Sylvanas, yeah.
On its Soul of the Forest over Roar, which after this tournament started becoming standard. Like every Soul of the Forest is like expected to be in Token Druid now.
Yeah.
Whenever I play against it after this tournament. Beforehand, there was like a toss-up between like Soul of the Forest, Roar, and I guess some other random cards. But now pretty much everyone's on the Soul of the Forest hype train. And
that's the dream, man. I think the community has been wanting Soul of the Forest to be something for the longest time. So I love that. I definitely love seeing some Soul of the Forest. So yeah, definitely some changes there with 3 or 4 cards that were pretty flavorful. Warrior, Cthulhu Warrior. That Cthulhu Warrior did well for him in the tournament. Hunter. So what did you guys think about Hunter? Like, we didn't see that many Hunters, right? Good time for Hunter right now in the meta?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
let me something.
I mean, it's good against Warrior, and
Yeah.
pretty much Warrior only. Out of the top 4 decks, this Hunter deck is bad against Druid. It's bad against Aggro Shaman, which he banned, and it's bad against Zoo. So like,
how bad is it against Druid though? Like, how bad really?
it's all right. It doesn't even play Unleash, man.
Yeah, if you don't play Unleash,
if you got
that's
Unleash,
rough.
it's bad.
The Hunter in general, I don't think is that bad against Druid, but this Hunter deck in particular, yeah.
it does have 2 camels though, which is good against Druid. But
yeah, true.
I would say he added this Hunter literally just to kill their Warrior deck. So like, it was his 5th deck, which you only play in top 8 and above, and it becomes best of 7. And like, past your top 4 decks, it's really hard to find like a 5th really good deck. I mean, I guess he could have added Zoo, but he was banning Shaman, which is one of Zoo's best matchups. So, like, that's where the lineup is weird. Like, I thought about doing a Shaman ban strategy and playing Rogue, but then, like, Zoo gets a lot worse. Your own Shaman kind of gets worse. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it worked out really well for them. The Hunter, I don't think we really got to see the merits of that much. Like, it really didn't matter too much in his series. Like, the one series that came down to that was Twas versus Lifecoach, and they had the same lineup. So it was like Hunter versus Hunter was a big deal, which is kind of like hard to debate whether Hunter was good because all it faced was itself.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the Hunter deck is just extremely greedy. I mean, no Unleash, no like anti-aggro stuff. It's just solely to beat control.
Yeah.
It's got double camel. I'm surprised it only has 1 Cavaldier. Like, I don't know. I haven't tested Camel much because it's like Camel's like so suicidal to play on ladder.
It really is.
So like this is like something you have to test like just against people, because if you play this on ladder, you're gonna queue into too much Shaman and Zoo and
just lose.
I don't know.
They've been playing the Camel Hunter with 3 1-drops for a while. Like, the whole G2 crew has been on Camel Hunter for forever, and they've always had the 3 1-drops.
It was their 5th deck, so like I think they all would agree. Like, it's not insane or anything. It's like very specific, but
beating Warrior's huge. Just having a Warrior beater, I think,
is
exactly.
Really important. And that's why a lot of people just ban Warrior. Like, that was their way of beating
right.
But I don't know. The strategy was interesting. It certainly worked out, but I don't know. I mean, both him and Tice made top 8 with the strategy, and RDU went with his own strategy for the tournament. But he did bring the Hunter anyway. He was banning Zoo, and Tice and Lifecoach were banning Shaman. It was kind of interesting that none of them landed on the Warrior ban plan. I don't know. The one thing was, like, Lifecoach had to make his Cthulhu Warrior really greedy because he left Warrior up, so you have to win the Mirror, so you have to play Doomcaller, which is a really weak card, and you have to play, like, this weird list.
Yeah.
He's got 1 Brawl.
He had 1 Brawl.
Just 1 Brawl, that's true.
That is... I don't know. I feel like his lineup's kind of like soft to certain stuff. Like Rogue was actually his best counter to Zoo. The Skulker helps a lot in that
Yeah, the
matchup.
Skulker was huge. The Argent
like one Storm mid Shaman, Druid, one Brawl. Like it's a little scary to like think if his path to the finals was a little different. Like
if he starts versing like my group, every single player had Zoo.
He killed my Zoo.
In my group. Yeah. We can see he got 3-0'd by Zalay in groups because Zalay had Zoo. Yeah, like if he versus a group with two players with Zoo, like
it's just interesting to think. Like, I think his path to the finals was like a little fortunate. Like in the end, Jackie didn't have Zoo, Tice didn't have Zoo. I don't know if Eloise had or not. I would expect she did, but
it could have been
what happened.
It could have been them anticipating that. And
actually, the Eloise match, I think, right? Like it came down to that 50-50 duel.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. Like I feel like he actually got a little fortunate in how he ended up taking out some players' Zoos. Like that's the greedy point of this lineup. Like now every lineup has a weakness. It's just a matter of like picking what you want it to be. Some people pick like aggro shaman. Some people pick Zoo.
Yeah.
Some people pick warrior. Those people are insane. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like in hindsight, whenever you look at the winner of a tournament, there's going to be moments they were lucky. Like when I won DreamHack Austin, I had to beat Rogue with Paladin. I had to like twice.
Those rags, man. I beat Rogue those rags were amazing too. Those rags were pretty good too.
It's just like you're always going to have moments of luck because you're not going to get there without it. But I don't know. Maybe the week to Zoo read was right for the event. Obviously, it worked out really well.
Yeah. If you look at all the tier 1 decks, right? Of the tier 1 decks, which is the least consistent? It's definitely not Warrior. And I don't think it's Shaman that's the least consistent. It's got to be Zoo, right? That's the least consistent, like, top tier deck that you expect people to be. Or
I don't know. You can't really... Consistency is such a meme word.
Yeah.
What?
You're just saying which is the worst.
It's the...
Yeah.
Because what is consistency? It's just the overall rate at which you win, right? It doesn't matter how you win.
Okay, sure. It's another
rate lower than Warrior and Shaman slightly by like 1.
It's consistent in its matchups, yeah.
So it's better. I mean, that's what you're saying. You just say better type of thing.
Well, there's
these are like the matchups for Zoo though. So there's
like a theory where Druid can have two 50-50s. Another deck might have 100-0 and a 0-100. In theory, if you're facing the matchups the same, those decks are equally as powerful. It just feels like with Druid, like you have it in your control because it's 50-50. But I don't know.
Okay.
Zoo dies. I hate like people saying like, yeah, the deck loses to itself. It's like every deck loses to itself.
The deck loses to itself. It's even against itself.
If there's a deck to make your lineup weak to, I think it might just be that Zoo's better to make your lineup weak to because you're going to get lucky more often than making your.
That's just saying you think Zoo is the worst of the 4, which I don't think is wrong. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like you're just saying it in a fancy way. I don't know.
Sure. Well, we're at a talk show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
That's the whole point.
I think basically, Lifecoach's read with this lineup, especially the fact that he didn't bring Zoo, he is quite literally saying. Now, Lifecoach also just has some irrational hate of Zoo, but
he said that he doesn't think Zoo's good in this tournament. And all of GG said, except
of course.
You. But
the fact that they don't bring Zoo and they don't ban it and their lineup's weak to it means they just think it's not that great right now, which is
fair.
Maybe right, maybe wrong.
It seems.
I think Zoo's been like for the 4 events that have happened.
I got 3 by Zoo a lot.
I'm discounting HCT, but Zoo's. I mean, it won DreamHack. It won DreamHack again. It didn't win DreamHack Valencia, but that was kind of like, on paper, it was like better in the finals than Azoth Paladin guy's lineup.
Worse, by the way, I'm talking like 1%.
Right, it's very low.
like the amount worse is like
numbers we're playing around with in pro play is like, maybe the best deck's 58, the next best is 56, and Zoo's like 54.
That's as big of the edge as you could possibly get in Hearthstone right now because the meta's.
No, I think from Lifecoach's point of view, like the way he plays the game and goes about things is like he focuses on playing his own decks really well, like a lot of the time, and it worked out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Like he made I only saw like one or two strict mistakes from him the whole weekend. He just plays very well overall. And he plays very well in unfavorable matchups, especially.
Yeah.
Knows what he needs to do. So
what do you think?
I just think he like played very well overall.
What do you think about this rogue? Just the whole Argent Squire thing. Like we've definitely been seeing that a little bit more in different variations again of Miracle Rogue. But this is the Leroy variant. So I guess it says I guess there's one Violet Teacher in this deck and one Conceal in this deck. Anything about this flavor that you like compared to some of the other?
I like the Skulker for this tournament. I think Skulker was really well placed in the tournament. I think
Skulker.
I'm not a fan of Argent Squire. I think it's just so bad at the later stage of the game. People's argument is like, you can use it to combo stuff. Well, it's like, yeah, so I can use any other card to combo stuff.
Any other minion, right?
If I top deck Argent Squire at the later stage of the game, I can't cycle it with Gadget. It's such a dead draw that I don't know. I'm not a fan.
I have that package in my Rogue deck right now. I think Argent Squire is actually better with questings than it is Leroy because it buffs them really well. I don't know. It's been okay. I mean, the jury's still out on it, basically. It's like, I don't think even the G2 guys probably did enough testing to know if it's right or not. Like, it obviously did well for them in testing, but like, even when you test 50 straight games of something, like, and it does well, there's just a chance, like, you ran into the exact situations where it was good more often than you normally will.
Yeah, it's one card too. So how much is it going to influence the
exactly?
You're looking again at 1% edges here. So it's like how many games do you need to test for to accurately figure out if you're increasing your win rate by 1% or
the Skulker like drops you like 1% across the board and increases your zoo matchup significantly. So like. And I think that's really important looking at the rest of their lineup. Like, they really need to work on having a deck that should be 2. Remember, it's LHS. You can have, like, your 1 counter to it. It worked out really well. I've been testing it. It doesn't seem bad, obviously.
What everyone did against their lineup, too, is, like, a lot of the players that had Zoo were banning Warrior and bringing the Zoo.
Yeah. Zoo players ban Warrior traditionally.
If you were to ban Rogue and bring Zoo, I think you'd have a better shot at winning, even though there's Baron Geddon.
I didn't know he had 1 Brawl, man.
Exactly. Nobody knows he has 1 Brawl.
I'd play Brawl.
Warrior runs 1 Brawl, dude. That's
if Lifecoach full mulligans is Warrior against you and you're Zoo, like, do not respect anything. Just go face.
Then you can win.
And you'll probably win.
Then you'll win. Yeah.
Screw trying to outthink the guy. Like,
I mean, he basically replaced 1 Brawl with a Baron, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, 1 Brawl. Yeah. He's got 2 Beckoner of Evils, but even then, Beckoner of Evils only, like, kind of mediocre against Zoo, because a lot of times they can value trade it.
The best thing it does, honestly, is just proc your 7 drops. Like, the 2/3 body sucks.
Well, sometimes it sets up for Ghoul, but...
Yeah.
They abusive into it with their 1/1, and then you that sick Ghoul value.
God. Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, congratulations again to Lifecoach. Obviously, did something right, given that he won, and he played. I thought he played really, really well the whole weekend. And just congratulations to him. And that G2 team is just like still super hot right now. Have they won the last how many events now? Have they won the last 3 events? Is that right?
I mean, there's some in between.
No, there might be some in between.
They've each won.
They've each won one. Yeah, one major tournament this season. So that's definitely good stuff. Oh, one last thing. So the one play of the game, I guess the most entertaining play, at least for me, in the whole tournament was when Naaman goes Astral Communion. When he innovated Astral Communion. Oh yeah, dude, that was good stuff. You guys would have Astral Communion, right? Or innovated Astral Communion.
I was asleep, so I
would not have Astral Communion there.
Yeah,
really?
No,
okay.
I wouldn't have.
I
don't know.
Would you have ever Astral Communion?
Those games.
So you just would never have Astral Communion then, right?
No, I think it's probably not great. Like his hand kind of can support it. Do we have like the screenshot of his hand at the situation?
Shoot, I don't have. Let me see. I don't have it off the top. It's going to take a little bit to find it. Maybe somebody in the chat can find it and maybe link it. That'd be great.
He had 3 mana, right? And he has Innervate, Wild Growth, Raven Idol in his hand, and he Raven Idles into
No, I think he turn 1 Raven Idled, right?
Oh, he turned 1.
Yeah, turn 1 Raven Idled into Astral, and then he turned 2 Innervated
And
into
then turn
Astral.
2 innovated it
Yeah,
out.
but he lost
yeah.
he lost an Onyxia.
He lost a Nixia, and he had Wild Growth in his hand already. He had Wild Growth, Innervate. Like, if he top decks any, like, Azure Drake, Nourish already, he's in, like, a great spot to win the game without his hands panning out. He already has the ramp going forward. And even just, like, a minion, it's in a good situation for him. So, and then with Onyxia already, we didn't get to see the choices of his Raven Idol.
What was he against? What deck?
What was it against? It was against Chakki and.
Putting yourself on a single card a turn to win the game.
I can't even remember what he was playing against now. It was.
I'm pretty sure it was the Druid Mirror, right?
Oh yeah, it was a Druid Mirror. It was a Druid.
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
Wild Growth, Innervated.
I would never ever take it then.
Wild Growth Innervated the Druid Mirror, and we're gonna just throw it away.
No, it was Mage. It was Mage, guys. It was,
Mage. Yeah, Mage. You're right. Yeah, okay.
I just remember Jackie's still on turn 5 and stuff.
Mage is the deck that if you're playing 1 card a turn, can definitely grind you out.
Yeah, Mage will literally just removes your stuff. I don't know.
He hit like Nourish off the top.
He had 2 Nourishes. He had
2 Nourishes off the top. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Just refills his hand, wins the game. So Lifecoach
crazy, man.
I was watching that in the basement with Lifecoach and Tice while they were talking about their decks, and then everyone gets all hyped, so everyone's looking at it, and then Lifecoach starts frantically doing the math about if it's right or wrong, and he concluded that it was incorrect to do it. He wrote it down on paper and did all the math.
Really?
And he was freaking out.
Simply incorrect.
How close was it?
It's simply incorrect. You never do this. And he's freaking out and waving his hands. He was amped about the situation. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know it was incorrect by a large percent.
Well,
but
it was worth the entertainment factor, man.
It was cards, man.
Hell yeah, man. That's why they make the card. So for us to play them. But anyways, yeah, that was one of the highlights, at least for me. That was a lot of fun. Okay, well, that's going to be it for Seatstory. Why don't we do some Mekkatorque Workshop, talk about some cards that we've come up ourselves. Pretty much me and Firebat came up with a few that we can check out here. Let's see. Why don't we start with a couple of mine? Mine are simpler than yours. Yours has a lot of text, so we'll save yours for the end because they're actually pretty cool concepts. So I came up with 2. I made them Hunter cards, but this one's actually I wanted to be Hunter, which is the Binding Shot. So this is a 2 mana spell that stuns the minions and the minions next to it. So kind of like a Cone of Cold. That's cheaper. It doesn't do any damage, but the whole point really was just to have. Like a lot of stuff with Hunter is just about killing things, right? And there isn't much with stalling things. And I think Hunter has some cards that are, whether they're good or not, they do. Yeah, I mean, obviously control. Yeah, control. But they, there are things like Infest that we haven't gotten a chance to, mess with because you just don't have time to even play those kind of cards, right? It's all about tempo. I think it'd be kind of cool to add some more cards just to essentially freeze some of the minions on the board. To give Hunter a shot at doing that.
Yeah. When you give Hunter freeze, they're just going to use it to protect their Wolf Rider. Like
I know. Okay, in the back of my head, I do that.
Yeah,
I know.
It's just a card freeze.
So I go into this knowing that other things need to change too, but this is definitely at least.
I don't think this card would be like powerful or anything right now if you just threw it in.
No,
I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's more just a building block for just this whole control Hunter dream that we all have. But just the concept of just stalling, because freezing trap is kind of the closest thing to that, but freezing trap doesn't actually freeze. Freezing trap actually just removes a card essentially a lot of times. So this is still keep the board the same, but maybe you can play Doomcallers a little bit or Doomsayers a little bit more. And some of the other things like that. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's my first one. The
Call
next
of the Wild's gonna be busted with Frost Nova Doom and Hunter.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a new take on like where they can go. I mean,
it's where they can go is Call of the Wild. I mean, double tracking. 100% Hunter would be tracking, Doomsayer, Binding Shot, Call of the Wild. Like, you just cycle your whole deck for Call of the Wild.
That deck would not be overpowered at all.
Every turn 7 would be like Binding Shot, Doomsayer. You'd go off, you'd Call of the Wild.
There's counterplay to that.
There's
though,
definitely
like-
counterplay to that. Yeah.
Like that's like saying that
Like
Freeze
Mass
Mage goes
Dispel,
crossover
dude.
Doom, and Alex every time.
No, you can't mass dispel yourself,
I mean,
right? You can't do that.
Freeze Mage doesn't
Yeah,
have
it's-
tracking. All card draw double
Sure.
tracking.
Yeah, tracking's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No track. You could definitely get the combo a lot. Now the question is whether you can do anything about it. I think Silence would just be played more. Just if
I mean,
if Doomsayer
Unleash,
just got
like
crazy.
Juggler Unleash is really good, but like that doesn't make it.
It's not the same as Frost Nova Doom, though.
Yeah, but you can't Crazed Alchemist and Knife Juggler.
You can only do 3
Crazy
minions with this thing
Alchemist.
too.
Like-
you can only do
what I'm saying is that
three
there's
minions with this
counterplay in the
thing.
game that this wouldn't be so ridiculous to have it be a real thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think this is
mean,
imbalanced at all.
It would definitely make Freeze Hunter a thing, though. Like Call of the Freeze Hunter. I don't know.
Call of the Freeze Hunter.
Stop! No.
Binding of the Wild or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one I have, and I couldn't decide what class to make this actually. So, class wise, I know it's something we can discuss, but it's called Bleeding Shite, so I ended up making it. I think this is a hunter border. I'm not sure. So it was meant to be a hunter card, obviously, because it's called Bleeding Shot. But basically, give a minion an effect that deals 1 damage at the end of every turn. So you could use it for yourself, like on things like Acolyte, maybe in Rage cards. Actually, it's not meant to be for hunter because Gazrilla would have been just too stupidly good. So actually, Gazrilla does it exist anymore? It doesn't.
No,
Right?
it wouldn't be that broken
It's
with Gazrilla.
in Wild.
would
Okay, you
kill
could
it,
play it.
right?
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
wasn't
you can
sure
just kill
about.
it.
Yeah, I guess you could kill it. But anyways, yeah, the point of this is really just to put some kind of curse on a single card, and you could actually do it offensively too, right? Cast it on an enemy minion, just have it work down in that way, or you can try to get somebody into fatigue by using it too. But it's like Pyro but cheaper, like Pyromancer type of effects, but cheaper and singular. So I thought that would be kind of an interesting type of card to add. You can make Patron something too, I think, in different decks.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Patron stuff. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like the wording doesn't need to be as complex as it can just be like Corruption, where it's like choose the minion at the end of each turn, it takes 1 damage.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not the most ridiculous thing. Like, yeah, I mean, I could see this like becoming a real card.
Yeah, it's like it seems mediocre though, because like you're never gonna want to use it for removal. Like you're never gonna use it on something.
Yeah,
on your
because
opponent.
it's just worse than Arcane
Yeah, it's
Shot.
definitely very
Yeah, it's just
situational
crazy.
in terms of that. Yeah, very, very rarely would you use it against your enemy.
Yeah, this card would definitely just be like bad right now, but
Mhm.
maybe there could be synergy with it somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well let's talk about a couple of Firebats here. All right, so Priest card, Power Word Fortitude. This is a 4 mana spell. It's an epic card. All of your minions have +1/+2 while on your side of the board. The buff is lost while attacking though. So this is like purely a defensive type of buff or an aura type, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's.
Does this just last forever?
I mean, this
just
is only for the.
forever.
No, right?
Forever,
No, right? It has to be just on the
aura.
minions that live, right?
That's ridiculous.
Forever. That would just be ridiculous.
How?
Dude,
Okay.
that's like Mistcaller, like freestyle or something. This is
Yeah. Similar to Mistcaller.
wow.
Mistcaller's not played right now. It's considered pretty terrible. But you lose it while trying to attack your opponent. So it's only when your opponents are attacking your minions.
I like that concept for sure. Just having something that buffs you on just one side of the turn. Man,
Yeah, it
it's
is. But the thing with
Oh
Priest
my
is
God,
like Priest
forever?
already really struggles to have a board, right? So
Yeah.
and you have to sink 4 mana, not developing your board at all.
I
Like,
think you make this +2 health, and then you don't need the text about attacking, and it's just like a permanent buff of 2 health forever on all your
That's
guys.
a good point too. It's just like an extra damage, attack damage.
I think that card would be like pretty good, not overpowered. Like if you can like cast it, then it's insane value for the rest of the game. Like that card would be busted in arena.
yeah.
But
Oh my god, yeah.
but like
Totally.
in constructed, it'd be like, okay, yeah, you have to take the 4 mana to cast this, and then from then on it's really good, but
It's like a wild growth sort
you
of
need a
effect
long
for you,
you need a long time for it to be. I actually really like this concept
Mhm.
now
I
that you
do.
can like compare it to wild growth. like especially at 4 mana, like you have to invest so much. And I'm speaking like as if it were just +2 health. I feel like the 1 attack doesn't. Also, just conceptually, Power Word Fortitude just gives health. So
Yeah, I never played WoW. I don't know. I just Googled
Yeah.
WoW spells.
Okay, so basically,
Right.
Power Word Fortitude is just. I think it's just the AOE version of, like, it just gives your entire party a health buff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's AoE powered shield. So it's,
Yeah.
I got it right. Yeah, I kind of.
Well, yeah.
But
So, I don't know
I-
how they. One thing that interests me is like how they would go about implementing entire game wide effects. Like, with
auras, right?
Mistcaller, it's just like I think it'd have to be like.
They can put auras on your hero.
Yeah,
Like, that's how the
what it should be.
buffs
It should be.
Oh
on the-
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, how do they like visualize that well though?
I mean, you just
they can make some sort of like sparkly lights. Go
yeah, on your
entire
hero
board or something.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, it'd be the
Something
similar
up.
thing they do on the
Something
minions
like
themselves.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's like honestly, that's one of the challenges they probably are looking at before they create aura effects in the game. But,
So
yeah, I
if
mean,
we-
I like the concept of
if-
this card.
If we were to skip a turn as priest on turn 4, essentially, can we get enough minions on the board for this to
Well,
actually?
you get the recover with Alkanite Circle, which is cute.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
3 health
and then,
Alkanite.
then your Arcanine survives. Like
Yeah. So you got to go like Power Word Fortitude into Alkanite Circle.
you can Wild Pyro, and it's a 3/4, so you can cast like 3 spells with it, and it
Wild Pyro
survives.
is super dank all of a sudden.
Okay, I'm just
Yeah.
imagining this card in Wild right now. Oh god, the Zoth
Yeah,
Priest is
it's-
already disgusting. This card
Exactly,
with it,
like-
it'd just be and the Zoth play. Oh my god, that'd be
Like, there's
crazy.
actually counterplay to it. Like, the counterplay is you just beat the shit out of them before
Kill them,
and
yeah.
they just can't cast this. Like,
yeah, and maybe we can finally silence heroes too. Yeah, that'd be.
But it's not even a legendary, too, so you get it twice. It's so dirty.
Yeah.
4 health on all your
oh
minions.
my god.
well, they could make
Like,
aura
act like
effects.
pain.
They could make aura effects like unique,
Okay.
where it's
that's
like
true.
yeah, you can run 2 of the card if you want, but it only applies once.
Yeah,
And
it
then, like
doesn't stack.
Chainman said,
Mhm.
maybe you have a way to like disable it. Like maybe you can silence hero effects, or
Yeah.
like there's a new keyword for that or something. I don't know. I think this could be like a really cool like new theme, like how
Yeah.
they add like discover. They've added joust. Like this could be like a cool theme of an expansion is like hero buffs and cards that interact with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the 2 things I want to see the most from like new Hearthstone cards is just auras, because we don't have like very many auras like at all. Like we have them only attached to minions, so, like spell-based auras that you can interact with that, and then also board space interactions because we don't have any cards that currently interact with board space. So I want to see those 2 things be implemented in the game because those are 2 just resources that both players have. That
Auras traditionally
Yeah.
like in card games and in video games even like in Pokemon the card game and the video game, like your field spells or like the weather in the video game, like those dictated like entire strategies and
Yeah.
like just
they-
made stuff cool. Like there's a Pokemon video game move where it's like it switches everything's speed. So suddenly all the slow guys
Oh,
are really,
that's
really
cool.
good.
Yeah.
So you'd base your entire team around that, and like that's the kind of like concepts where I think Blizzard really wants to print stuff like that, where it's like one card makes you like reconsider everything, where you're just like, oh shit, like
yeah,
I could build an entire deck around this card. And like the other thing that they've constantly done is they want to make old cards that used to be bad like into good cards, like with Secret Paladin stuff like that. And obviously, Secret Paladin wasn't the greatest way to go about it, I think. It ended up just being a raw, like, this is a powerful guy, go.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
but
next card that I was thinking about is one that tries to make bad cards good.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's look at that.
That's always all right. So the next one we got is Ice Fury. And this is obviously mage card. What is that?
Shaman.
Oh, it's the shaman card. Oh, no, shaman. Yeah, blue. Sorry, I
Yeah.
was looking at the artwork. That's pretty cool artwork. Okay, so this is a 3 mana spell. Deal 3 damage to a minion and freeze it. Empowers your Frost Shock, making them deal 2 damage. Plus 2 damage.
Jeez, Malios would be really good
Oh
with
my
this card.
god, yes, totally.
Holy shit.
That's cool,
you can
though.
get frost shots
I like
up
the
to
concept.
5
This
damage.
is similar to like what I was talking about
Wait.
with the arcane mage thing, where
Yeah.
like spells empowering other spells. Like
And this is forever?
I don't know how they word it. Yeah, it's just forever.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So at the end of it, if you play both your Ice Furies, you have to use them on minions. So you can't just like face shaman people with Ice Furies.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, the can only target minions in there, but then your Frost Shocks can deal 5 damage, so you can get like Malagos double Frost Shock to deal 20. And then you have Malagos Freeze Shaman.
We got the Malagos
cool.
Shaman back again. Without Ancestor.
That's the concept anyway, without having to have Ancestral Call, right?
Yeah,
so then you can then power up the other cards.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's actually like in the game there's actually something that sort of does this. Like the shamans have like the weapon effects, like Rockbiter weapon, Flame Tongue weapon, the Ice Brand weapon I think is the ice one. And like they all empower your shocks.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like precedent there for this could be a real thing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's again just more of these auras. I think auras is the next step that we could take in terms of design. Just some of the new cards in the design. It's not too confusing. I hope that's not the reason why they're holding back on it. I think it's just another element you can add. I mean, I think
probably is the reason why they're holding back.
So there's actually a lot of challenges they face, like UI wise, just like the confusing part, just like literal new players not understanding. Like they want to keep the game at like a somewhat baseline level where you can understand things very intuitively, and also it's kind of like, you know, the more things like this exist, it's like, oh, I can't remember. Did my opponent cast an Ice Fury already? Do I have to play around 3 damage Frost Shocks?
It's kind of no different than having a secret to some extent, right? I mean, it's just like a little symbol that's up there.
Well, yeah, it's just like, how many of those things can you realistically add before the UI gets so cluttered? Like, there's not space for everything, right?
You can make the hero portrait like glow blue when you start charging up like ice stuff, and like maybe glow red when you start charging fire stuff.
Yeah.
But what happens when there's another card like Ice Fury and you cast both?
Then you're glowing red and blue. It's
how do you code that? How do you make that on like? Yeah, it's
just a rainbow.
It's like stuff,
It's a
like that.
shaman.
It's annoyances that they face when they want to create cool cards like this. I know because I like talk to the developers of cards and stuff. It's not as like simple to just make badass stuff all the time. But
why does I have to track all of that stuff though? Like, I don't know. Shouldn't there be?
Because
it has done it in the past. They don't track like Cthulhu or Yogg. They can very easily do that.
I mean,
that's not too complicated for people.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I don't think it's too bad. I don't.
Does track Cthulhu.
This is like no different than Roaring Torch, though, right? It doesn't track.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable. That's a real thing. I mean, I think it'd be interesting how they decided to go about implementing like this mechanic of empowering your other spells. But yeah, it's definitely a mechanic I really like, where you have more synergy in your deck, and kind of like. The one thing I want to see is I want to see synergy where it's like, not only does it make you consider playing maybe worse cards, but maybe it even makes you consider not playing good cards. Like with the arcane concept, like where suddenly you're thinking, do I even want like Fireball in my mage deck? Whereas right now it's like, I'm making a mage deck. Fireballs, Frost Bowls.
It's one of those things where, I mean, you're classifying them as, you know, good or bad when they're individual or they're in solidarity, right? But you know what we're talking about is just improving these cards by adding a synergy and things like that. Yeah, so
and like
it needs to be more synergy right now because almost every deck in Hearthstone right now is very cut. Like these are the good cards.
The cards have no synergy. Like the dragon stuff is like
basically
dragon decks and like N'Zoth and Shadow decks, only synergistic decks really. Besides like. Maybe beasts, I guess. But like for the most part, there's not very much synergy in Hearthstone in general. You just play the good cards. And it's been like that forever.
Things not like as dynamic as it can be. And like I think Worgen Warrior is actually a decent example of like a good way of deck building where you ignore a lot of traditional good warrior cards. You just put in a bunch of like cycle and removal and it works out because of this weird synergy with all the cards. They work well together. The whirlwind effects do really well together. Patron was a good example too. Like, whereas Shaman is kind of just like, this does damage. This also does damage.
This is good value.
This
it's
guy hits them really hard.
Yeah, it's just value after value after value, right? I mean, lots of decks being built that way.
The extreme way of looking at it is the fact that, like, right now, aggro Shaman, you just throw in Thing from Below. Why not? That card's not an aggro card at all.
It's a taunt. It's supposed to be a defensive card, and you're just like, well, it's good.
Wait. You're telling me a 0-mana 5/5 is not an aggro card?
You barely totem in that deck at all.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't fit.
That's fair.
It's just a 4-mana 5/5.
It's probably a 4-mana or 5. Yeah.
It's a 4-mana 5/5, and aggro Shaman just looks at that and they think, good enough.
Yeah.
That's a shitty way. That's kind of a problem right now with deck building.
That's true. Yeah.
And more cards will remedy that naturally, but.
Well, at least
also we're at the lowest point of cards that we're going to be at for like the rest of the year, right? Because we're going to be adding a lot more cards to the card pool as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, at least whenever things get retired, right? Like the first season of every year, I think will be
will be like this, where there's not a lot of synergies. It's kind of boring. But then as they add things onto it, it should hopefully encourage more synergies and be less boring.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then they have to start over again.
Yeah,
year after that.
Back to
God, that's gonna suck.
It's a challenge, no matter how they cut it.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we get some questions in here today? But before we do so, I just want to remind everybody that we have a Patreon for Value Town. So for everybody that enjoys the show, wants to support the show, you can do that by going to the Patreon and taking a look at some of the cool rewards. And if you want to, you can pledge and partake in some of those rewards and milestones. That helps us out and continuing to improve the show. I would like to give a shout out to a few of our patrons: Jacob Perez, Eric Lynn, Dustin DeMar, and Atomic Junkie. Thanks a lot for being. Actually, some of these guys have been longtime patrons, so huge thanks to those guys. As well as iTunes guys. A lot of folks listen to Value Town on iTunes and Android podcasts. And one thing you can do to help out the show is to, if you enjoy the show, leave a nice review, 5-star review. And I'd like to huge shout out to D Kibbs for the latest review. But let's take some questions. Let me see if I got some on Twitter here. I didn't get a chance to look. Let's see. Okay, so T. Jefferson asks, Lifecoach won Seatstory without Yogg in any decks. Do you guys think the rage regarding Yogg's RNG previously was unfounded?
I personally rage against Yogg. I don't like the card.
Yogg.
I think it's very strong and can cause a lot of the previous things that have happened in the game to be completely irrelevant and just win me the game, which is not a feeling that I enjoy on the losing end. On the winning end of that feeling, fantastic. I love it. It's like, there's no way I can win the game. Yogg!
You just win, yes.
So, yeah. But the other end of it hurts. It's very soul-breaking. So, yeah, the other end of it's bad. I think that Yogg in that Druid deck is still good. Like, even though Lifecoach cut it from his build, I think he should have had Yogg in his deck. I think it would be better. I've played both lists. Like, I've played with Yogg, like maybe 500 games, and I played without Yogg only about 100 games, if I'm honest. But I still, at the end of it, feel like Yogg was stronger.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, you look one step down from where he's talking about. Like, he's saying, yeah, the winner had no Yoggs. I think everyone's overreacting. Second place had 2 Yoggs out of 4 and then 5 decks. And what happens if, we were literally, like, game away, like, quite literally, it was 4-3. We were a game away from the winner having 2 Yoggs. Not just 1, but 2. And, like, if we're in a world where maybe he wins because of the Yoggs, like, is it then a problem? Like, everyone's kind of looking at this from, like, a proactive point of view, where it's like, we can all kind of agree this is a bad thing long term. We don't need to wait for a guy to get double pyroblasted to realize that this is a problem and can be a problem. It has a ridiculous Yogg happened yet where it decided the game completely? Sort of. I mean
anytime
over the weekend, the Naaman versus Ecop match, Naaman's went like Call of the Wild, Ball of Spiders, Soul of the Forest.
Soul of the Forest, Soul of the Forest.
Double Soul. Yeah. Why not? And Ecop's best response was to then play the Yogg of his own, which then sucked.
Yeah. Of course,
when that's a match of Hearthstone, and if Blizzard wants there to be like analysis to be had, or like wants to have like an analyst desk or something, like what can you even say about that? There's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, he casted his Yogg. It was probably the right play, but maybe not. Who knows? It worked out really well. He won.
Yeah.
And that is not good for the game, and it's fun for the wacky side of things, but I think Yogg is maybe the first real time that Blizzard missed the mark a little.
I think
on the wacky card.
Well, Yogg's like really fun for the casual players. Like,
yeah,
I have a lot of fun playing Yogg.
Yeah.
I think the tournament setting, this may be the one card that they should be like, you know what? Let's just not let this tournament play. Yeah, like that's a simple solution, and then all the casual players are happy, all the competitive players are happy. Who's really?
I think they have kind of this. It just feels like
they really don't want to ban any cards.
They won't say that, but I can guarantee you they really don't want to ban something. And part of it is like you're also kind of just admitting you screwed up. You're like, well, guys, we can't really remedy this. We're just gonna force our hand. It's banned.
Everyone will be happy. The casual players will be happy.
It'll create a little bit of controversy at first. There'll be a thread on Reddit, and then eventually everyone's going to come to the realization that they'll be like, "This doesn't really hurt us."
Yeah, we can still play Yogg.
And they'll be like, and I guess the players are happy. I guess I'll keep watching Hearthstone anyway.
Yeah,
and
the weird thing is, do you play it then on ladder still? Like if it's banned, like ladder's qualification for tournaments.
That's kind of where the dilemma comes in. Is like you want the game to be the same on ladder and in tournaments.
Well, what if they did change the card in a way that's along the lines of limiting how many spells are casted? Because I think the more casts that are the more Yogg casts, the better the percentage gets, and where the outcome is actually positive for the person casting it, right, or the person playing Yogg.
Well, that's the point, right? Because you want to be able to have the player be able to control it to some extent, right? So they cast a lot of spells, they build a deck with a lot of spells.
Sure.
They have synergy for Yogg, they play Yogg, it's more positive. So I mean,
you could word it in the form it's like every 2 spells you cast, Yogg gets a spell cast. You could probably figure some way of wording it, but do you think that would still matter? I mean, if the RNG basically went down by a little bit, and where Yogg was 50-50, right now it's definitely not 50-50 in terms of the results for each of the players.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of less players playing it if it's more 50-50.
Yeah,
it's going to be in 60.
Yogg is just impossible to balance. Like,
every time they add any cards to the game, it's going to be like, well, did this break Yogg?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's at a point where if your deck runs a lot of spells, which Token Druid just does, you probably want
There's a
Yogg.
lot of decks that just run. I mean, Yogg, you can make an argument just for adding in any deck.
Right.
I've versed a lot of people in open tournaments that just are playing like Patron Warrior with Yogg or just any deck that has spells with
free card. Yeah, I mean, you get a chance of possibly winning games that you had no business winning. That's essentially what it is, right?
People love it, man. They love just even in tournaments. They love just playing against like whoever they play against and just trying to high roll them with Yogg. It's a blast for people.
Yeah. Let's see, another question. So Groin Rude asks, thoughts on OTK Warrior and how to play against it? We actually were talking about this one, I think before the show. So it's a good question for sure. OTK Warrior, we're starting to see on the ladder. I mean, I definitely see on the ladder. Not as much as Dragon Warrior and Cthulhu Warrior, but definitely see it pop up. And when it does, I'm very happy I'm playing my Shaman. That's all, my control Shaman a lot of times. But what are your thoughts on OTK Warrior?
I don't think the deck's very good. I think it's kind of one of the weaker. I think it is the weakest Warrior deck, aside from. I think it's weaker than Pirate Warrior. I think it's weaker than Pirate Warrior, but that's just because I think it's like not that great against any deck that has a lot of mid-range threats. And there's a lot of decks that have a lot of mid-range threats out there that can put enough pressure on it. And also, as soon as you start realizing people are running one Worgen, one charge, and the odds of them actually having the damage at a lot of points in time is pretty unlikely, and you just play hyper aggressively knowing it's unlikely that they can kill you, a lot of the times you can rush them down in time. I've even, like, as Rogue, there's been situations where it's like, well, they played Emperor, and I'm like, well, if he has Worgen charge, I'm dead anyway. All face. Just ignore the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like, those sort of situations arise, because then it's like, well, if his charge is bottom 8, I win. And sometimes it's bottom or charge or Worgen or Rampage or bottom 8, I win. And sometimes one of those 3 cards is the bottom 8, and get away with the win while ignoring Emperor and
That's a good point.
him in the face.
That is a lot of cards that have to be like that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have to have, yeah.
They run one-ofs there to try and, make the deck more fluid. That has a cost to it, and you can kind of abuse that cost a lot of times.
Yep. Chakki, what do you think?
I haven't played around with the deck enough to know, but I mean, it did really well when it first became a thing. Obviously, part of that was because no one knew what they were up against. It's sort of going through its cycle as, like, new deck comes in, does really well. Everybody's like, wow, this is the new hot shit. And then everyone starts playing it and they're like, okay, maybe the guy that got number 1 literally just got lucky. But I don't know. I think it'll find its way into tournaments. Like, it's got a niche and it's really good at what it does. It's just a matter of if that's, as a strategy overall, is going to be consistent enough. Especially in, like, Conquest, it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah,
like in LHS, it makes a lot more sense.
You can bunk draw with that pretty easily. Like, if you have 3 50-50 matchups with that deck, like, your 50-50 matchups is like your percent chance to high roll, right? So,
But still, like, in any tournament format, whether it's LHS or it's Conquest, you still have so many good warriors to choose from. Would you choose this and not choose the others? I don't know. See that. It's crazy.
I'm not willing to say it's, like, that awful yet. I honestly think it's still being, like, I don't think the deck list can get much more optimal.
Yeah, it's not so much that it's awful as much as it's just not better than the other decks, and the other decks are so good.
I don't know. I'll have to see. Like, this is really the first month it's been around, and, like, the last day of the month still hasn't happened. Like, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people do well with it on ladder. A lot of people just aren't playing it, like, because it's a hard deck to play. Like, yeah, you have to think a lot, and, like, a lot of ladder is kind of like people prefer to play.
Grind.
Until you get to the top 100, a lot of people prefer to play, like, easy decks and just, like, mindlessly grind it out.
Yeah.
It just, like, it's just nicer. Like, you can't focus fully for 80 games in a day. Like, Lifecoach will, like, say that, and everyone will tell you that. So it's like, if you're going to be playing 100 games in a day, you probably don't want to be playing Worgen.
Lifecoach is not playing 100 games in a day. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
He might get 50,
and, like,
maybe 50
it's
games
true.
in a day.
It's true. Like, you're going to be exhausted of thinking, like, just no matter what deck you play after a while. But yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of people aren't playing it. The people that do, they had success at first, and now, honestly, they just aren't having that same success. So maybe it was a bit of a fluke.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd say it's a deck worth watching, but would I bring it to a tournament if I had to play a tournament, tomorrow? No.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to run the same course that Worgen Warriors always ran, because Worgen Warriors done this many times in the meta, actually.
Yeah.
Like, this is a pattern. Every meta, there's always a pocket where people are like, Worgen Combo Warrior for a week, and then it's like, all right, well, never mind. And
yeah.
Yeah,
like Iria did the same thing. You got number 1 with Worgen Combo Warrior like last year, and then
it wasn't that much different than this one, to be honest. I mean, there's probably like about 4 or 5 different cards, but yeah, for the most part, it's the same. It hasn't changed like over all this time. So, so anyways, to play against it, just pressure it, or I just throw up taunts at the end of it, and that's usually that's actually enough too. It's usually a game winner.
You can pressure them in such a way without taunts first. So you hold back your taunt minions and put as much pressure as you can without playing your taunt minions, and then force them to have to execute something that doesn't have taunt. And then after you've exhausted both their executes, then you finally taunt up, because you don't need to taunt up until they have they've played Emperor and have 9 mana or something. Otherwise, because they can't kill you yet. So you just want to max pressure until then and just keep throwing stuff at their face.
Yep, exactly.
Denying draw, obviously.
Okay, last question. This is, I guess, a question that we see from time to time. Julius Carlson, if you guys could change 3 cards so they're in the classic set, which ones would you pick? Thanks for the great show. 3 cards. So 3 cards to add to the classic set. So just to have forever. What cards would they be? Gosh, there's so many to choose from.
Let me open up the client and look at some Hearthstone
Reno?
cards.
I mean, I think I might just choose Reno.
No way.
You don't think so? Like, healing is always such a...
Reno.
Really? Healing is such an issue otherwise.
I hate Reno.
Actually,
so
it would make
much.
sense that you hate Reno, actually, now that I think about
I
it.
don't even hate him from like a style point of view. I hate the type of gameplay he creates. Like, it's very binary. Like, the way you're supposed to play against Reno decks is disrespect every card they have, because they have an answer to everything. And that's the difference, is they have one answer to everything. Not 2, 1. Mm-hmm. So over half the time they don't have it. So you're supposed to disrespect everything. You're supposed to disrespect Reno a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And if they have it, they win. And if they don't, they lose. And it's like, it's a very 50-50 deck, like where half the time you draw your Reno and it's nuts. And the other half you don't. And your deck's literally an unoptimized deck. Like, so I don't like it from that point of view.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I throw it in there is just that, Reno has made... I mean, when Reno was introduced, right, in LOE, I mean, we saw the resurgence of control decks again. And whether it was, because of very linear decks or whatnot, we at least saw that. And that's because their healing is an issue in various classes, right? And it's not very easy just to add those. It's not very easy to have a card that's so impactful from a heal standpoint that people are able to add it to their decks. And, a good example would be like, I don't know, we always talk about Control Hunter, right? Control Hunter, obviously, there's no heals in Hunter. So fitting a heal, it better be some kind of amazing heal for one card, just having that kind of value. Because I can't fit 2 heal cards in a Hunter deck. It's just too hard. So it's more along the lines of that, is what I would say. But that's, again, that was like first thing that came to my head as in the form of just impact to the game. Anything you guys think of?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay,
but we need
sure.
to try and find 3.
All right.
Maybe
so
one
my
from each of
first,
Okay.
my first is Lotheb for sure.
Bring it back, huh? Okay.
I feel like Lotheb was incredibly
wow.
hard.
Okay.
The main issue with it is just that it was like powerful. Like, it's just a really strong body, even if you don't need the effect. Maybe it can be toned down to like a 4/5, but the effects, like the usage of the effect in pro play was really like, you have to know when to time it. It made it so you couldn't do things so freely. Like, now, if you're playing against a deck and they don't run healings, like they're not warrior or priest or paladin, and your opponent's like 10 and you have 10 points of burn in hand, even if you can't cast it all, you're just like, lava burst your face, go. What's the counterplay? There just really isn't. So, like, for classes like Hunter without healing, you used to have Lotheb, and so like there was kind of this interesting dynamic where, do you play Lotheb? Do you taunt up? Like, you have to kind of make a read on your opponent's hand and how you want to play around it. It was kind of fit into every style of deck. It let you create turns where, like, basically it created a variable in planning where, like, no, you can't just cast Brawl every time. Like, maybe I'll Lotheb you. So maybe you have to not be as greedy with your spells.
Okay. I mean, a big play for Lotheb also was, no, you can't force a Nature Savage Roar me this turn. Maybe you can do it next turn.
Or
you can't do it this
Fire
turn.
Blast me, or you can whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's a powerful card, man. That is
It's a really good card.
Yeah.
A lot of people had negative opinions of it, but I feel like, it was a powerful card that sometimes you slammed it on curve and it was just still really good and you didn't have to think about it. But a lot of times it was like, it was a card you had to plan around and account for.
It really helps those mid-range decks and the aggro decks a lot. Like, everyone's trying to like make control happen, and Chakki's just like, no,
yeah,
no
fuck
control.
that shit. Fuck Reno. And let's bring back Lotheb, dude.
Yeah.
I like effects like that. when Lotheb exists, you can make control cards more powerful, I think. Because there's counterplay.
I mean, you could just stop all the control cards from ever being played and just punch them in the face. I think that's more the direction. Like, you're trying to argue the control side here, but secretly, you're just going to load the people and punch them in the face, right?
Well, I'm saying
that sounds like Chakki to me, man.
When Lotheb is a card you can play, you can print more powerful spells because there's actual counterplay to them available.
Okay.
Whereas right now, like,
okay,
I don't know. I feel like if you print more powerful control stuff, like, you can't go too over the top right now.
Well, I guess you could.
Yeah. Lotheb was one of my favorite cards.
Yeah,
it was a lot of people's favorite cards.
It was so good. I remember back when like Zoo was first coming out, and then like Lotheb first got released. No one talked about Lotheb and Zoo, and
nobody wants to
nuts.
Nobody wants to put in like awful cards in the standard forever. Like, oh yeah, throw me a Steam Weedle Sniper. I gotta have that guy forever. Like,
well, of course,
who cares about him?
All right. So Firebat, how about you, man? Yeah, you've got.
I was gonna say Firebat, but that's like troll. But because I would love
vain
to
or
be classic
anything.
set forever.
Not vain or anything.
But the actual one I have is Sir Finley Murgleton.
Oh,
I'd like to see that be in the classic set forever. I think that actually creates a lot of interesting like hybrid decks and just weird things that you don't see like normally. Like it like brings out like Pirate Warrior. We don't need another Warrior archetype, but it like causes the ability for classes to go in different directions, which I think is really cool. Just different utilization.
It fixes the restriction too that Hearthstone just at its core creates with these different classes, and it's been an issue with balancing. So I think Sir Finley frees up a lot of things for the designers too, and it makes their life easier. At least they always can say, hey, Sir Finley, you can actually put Sir Finley in your deck and kind of mix it up in terms of changing around, your hero power. Like, again, trying to bring up Control Hunter again, like if you want to change to, a priest or a warrior or what, more control oriented. Yeah, exactly. Right. You can do so with Sir Finley. So yeah, I think that'd be great.
And the third one, you got one?
Well, we have 3, but we can do more.
Wait, we only have 2 though.
No. We had Reno, Finley, and
yours was Reno.
Yeah. We could do one more though. All right, bonus one that all of us can agree on here.
Oh, that's gonna be tough.
Gosh. Should it be just neutral card?
Yeah, I mean neutral is like
it's almost
it
like
makes
it has
the most
to be neutral.
sense. It makes the most sense because it's like if you pick a card from a class, it's kind of unfair to the other classes. Like it's so ridiculous to think like, oh yeah, just give Dark Bomb to Warlocks forever. It's like, well, obviously you'd have to give other classes compensation as well.
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, it doesn't make much sense to me to have Old Murkai not be a thing when all the Murlocs are in the base set. Now, I think the literal reason is because Anyfin was too strong as a deck.
But Anyfin wasn't a good deck.
Well, in standard, like
I guess it could be in
it's
standard.
Good. It would be good in standard.
I'm pretty sure. I don't have like a quote from Blizzard on this. I think the reason they decided to rotate out the promo set was because
just the charge.
Anything can happen. It was too powerful, and they hate those types of decks. They don't like that. Like, it's a fun deck. It's based on like a fun concept, which is like Murloc's just murdering you, but
you can't stop it. That
the
was the
OTK style. It's uninteractive. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
Again,
stop.
Lotheb.
Yeah. Okay, that's true. That would stop at least one iteration of that combo, but
I also think like besides bringing back Lotheb, I'd really like to see more interaction with spell cards come into play. Like the Trogs aren't doing it for me. The Stone Splinter Trog.
Yeah, yes. Those are pretty terrible ways to interact with spells. Play a subpar minion.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I mean, we see a little bit with at least Shaman just overloaded, but that's not just spell. That's more overload than anything else.
Just say Bog Creeper should be forever.
Bog Creeper?
Remember Frodan.
Yeah, Frodan. Pogchamp, baby. Pogchamp. Any giant card? Let me see. I'm trying to think of the legendary.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the legendaries. I'm not really
They're not
seeing
that
any.
great, actually. None of them are. I mean, I
just
think
don't see
Nazatha would be too powerful. Like it's so design restricting, that card.
Yeah.
Cthulhu,
Yeah.
of course not.
I don't see any legendaries really that I see that as like, oh yeah, this should be in the game forever.
Yeah.
Like none of them seem like so defining that they need to stay.
What about any of the
Emperor?
dragons?
Be kind of cool.
Which one? Emperor
Emperor,
Thorzan?
like
Emperor Thorzan is.
And there's Justicar to think about,
Oh,
but I don't want to see
Justicar.
Tank Up anymore.
when Emperor
That is-
goes away, Blizzard has to like find new ways to make combo stuff work.
Yeah, otherwise the game's
I
gonna be
like-
too boring. You just cut out a third of the deck archetypes right there.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
Justicar. I know you hate Tank Up, but
Oh yeah, it's so boring though. We don't
But
need
it's a
more
nice
tanking
meme.
on.
it's a nice name.
What's Twitch chat gonna do?
Oh man.
Like Justicar sees play in what? Warrior and Paladin occasionally.
occasionally.
Priest,
Paladin.
if it was.
Oh, priest for sure. Yeah, priest.
Oh, the priest. Nobody plays that.
And then it's awful in Warlock, awful in Shaman, awful in
Awful in
Hunter,
Rogue.
Awful
in
Hunter.
It's-
It's literally
yeah.
made for warrior
It's-
and.
It's
warrior.
only played in like half of the classes, and it's only good in one.
Okay,
So
all right, that's fair. That's fair.
I wanna know, was there a point in testing where a Blizzard employee, like they were internally testing the cards, and 100 games in or so, just throws his hands up. He's like, "No, I'm sick of this Hunter 4 damage hero power. We need to nerf this. Justicar cannot let Hunter deal 4."
I think it was more just like a table
Disgusting.
discussion. They're sitting around and they're like, all right, so Justicar will make Priest do 4, it'll make Warrior do 4, and it'll make Hunter do 4, and it was like 3. Let's go with 3. guys.
Let's go with 3.
Let's go with 3.
Whoa.
Let's go with 3. Oh,
Hunter,
People are gonna be upset.
Wow.
Nobody likes Hunter.
yeah, but
Nobody
then you bring up the shaman. Was it originally 2 totems, and then it ended up being you can pick what you still get a totem, but you get to pick what totem you want. What?
Honestly, it's hilarious
What?
to read like
terrible.
general discussion forum comments about whenever Blizzard reveals a new card. They think everything is broken.
Yeah.
Like, just every card that ever gets released by Blizzard is just they screwed the game up. It's all over. The game's dead. Everything's going downhill. Steam Wheel Sniper is the most broken card in the game.
Steam-
Like that's a real like they
I
have.
don't remember
doomsday
this.
over-
Really? I don't even.
Okay, what
remember
was the
this.
one card that
We-
everyone blew up about that just ended up being awful? I will find the Reddit thread. I gotta figure out
which
card it
release.
was.
Let's talk about which
Trogzor.
release. Trogzor, come on, that's the
Oh.
easiest one. Trogzor was by far.
It wasn't. It was like a card that was objectively like any actual player could tell you this is not going to be like a played card. What was it?
Wait.
Which
So
set?
wait. You mean
It had to
so
have been
so
fun.
players were right about their
Fire.
assessment, but the community was wrong? Is that what you're saying? Or
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, Feign Death, dude. Feign Death.
What? People thought that was good?
really?
Yes, I will
Who
find
thought
the
that was
thread.
good?
Reddit.
Death?
Reddit blew up because remember Hunter, specifically Undertaker Hunter, was really oppressive.
Okay.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone freaked out at the concept of like they're buffing Death Rattle Hunter. And it's like, well, no, guys, this card kind of sucks. But like everyone lost their shit over Feign Death.
Wow, I don't even remember that. But...
Card's just trash.
Oh, God.
It's awful, yeah.
It's
It
like-
never saw
yeah,
play.
It was bad.
I did see play actually in like those weird.
I
piloted
tried,
stacks.
man. I tried
Uh-huh.
that deck, but it's. I mean, we see the princess. It's kind of feign deathy, and it has no play. Like I never hit anything with that stupid card. It's like maybe I'll get a wolf every once in a while, but never the dream with Sylvanas or Savannah. I mean,
It's a bad 5-drop.
I think this one might be kind of. This one might not be an obvious one, but I feel like heal is something that, but this is a specific class. I still like Helaziel. I think Helaziel isn't as crazy,
Okay.
as people think yet. But I think if you took out heal waves, you could be okay. Like heal wave could go away, I think for Shaman, and you just kept Helaziel there, and there's still just that built-in heal for Shaman, and it's a good amount too.
All right.
Yeah,
Let me
Hellzeal's just really cool.
Yeah.
let me read you guys off some comments from when this
Oh
card got
God,
revealed.
Chakki's like on a mission here.
So
Oh, goodness.
basically, like Blizzard got so
All right,
much
last
shit
thing.
for this.
Last thing.
Top comment. Maybe this will bring back Death Rattle Hunter. Finally, a Hunter buff. Thanks, Blizzard. Now I can finally play my poor Death Rattle Hunter. Bring out your dead. Yeah, so basically everybody just gave Blizzard a lot of shit because it was a buff to the best deck in the game, which then got nerfed a month later, and Feign Death was never ever good.
Okay, well, that's...
Nobody thought.
Nobody.
None of the players thought Feign Death was.
Yeah, nobody thought Feign Death was actually.
I'll find somebody that did. I bet Reynad did.
It's an interesting card, but yeah, it never made it. Maybe if it was 1 mana, maybe you could have pulled it off, but
yeah, you could pull it off for 1 minute for sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, anyways, everybody. We should wrap up the show. We've gone over 2 hours now, so this has been a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for writing in their questions, and as always, lots of good ones. and we had a long discussion actually based on a few of these. But Chakki, Firebat, lots of fun, man. Thanks for coming on the show today, and hope you guys had a good time. Chakki, want to do some shout outs and maybe let folks know where they can find you?
Yeah, well, I got a call as you said that.
What's your phone number, man?
Yeah, maybe Firebat can go first.
Why don't you go first, Firebat? Yeah.
Shout out to Cloud9. They're my team.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tempo Storm. They're like running the show on their channel, right? So, love. Good to go.
Yes. All right. Okay. Chakki, phone stopped ringing. Actually, you streaming, Firebat? You still streaming? Have you started up a stream schedule again?
I haven't started up a schedule, but I streamed today and yesterday, both at like 4 a.m. my time, just because I can't sleep. So it's like, might as well stream.
Yeah, you can find him at twitch.tv/Firebat. It's Firebat HS or Firebat?
Firebat.
It's just Firebat.
All of my stuff got changed to just Firebat.
Yeah,
now, so.
That's a good man.
He's a cool kid now.
Yeah, he's a cool kid.
Yeah.
Not the Chakki HS over here, you know.
I still got the underscore.
You can never get out of Hearthstone now that you have the underscore.
I'm stuck.
Well, eventually you can get the Chakki. You probably just need to buy it from somebody. Someone has Chakki.
Squatters, man.
Buy it?
Damn squatters.
Yeah, that's how I was able to get Firebat. Like someone was just camping on Firebat.
How much you pay?
I don't know
How much you pay, dude?
I didn't pay for it. Like Cloud9 handled everything.
Oh,
like,
wow.
The guy with @Chakki he's just been AFK since 2008.
You know what? After a certain amount of time, you can actually get that. Yeah, you can make them leave it.
Seems good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
you might want to get on that before someone that's listening to the show goes and takes Chakki and tries to sell it to you.
No kidding, man. Get some $5.
Please no. Shocker, stealer, but yeah, shout outs to my non-existent team right now. This could be, this is that part of the show where I give you a little shout out. If you were sponsoring me, future team, you need not apply. But yeah, thanks guys for having me on. It was a fun time. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Awesome. Teams, come on. This guy, I can't believe he's not sponsored yet. This is crazy, actually. Yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, just a big thanks to both of you guys for coming on the show. And it's always a lot of fun with you guys. So really, really happy that you guys were able to do it today. And for those of you, I guess, looking for some more shows, I do another show tomorrow that's going to be... it's a new show that we debuted last week called Spoiler Alerts that I do with Elheim and Eat My Diction. So you can check that out. We're going to be talking about Stranger Things. And it'll be on Elheim's channel tomorrow at 1. So twitch.tv/Elheim. You can find all my stuff at ChanManV. So Twitch, ChanManV, Twitter, ChanManV, YouTube, ChanManV. And the VODs for this will be up shortly after the show, probably about an hour or so. Audios will be up tomorrow as usual. For those of you that get the direct feed, it'll be up tonight. But most of you on iTunes and everything else, it'll be tomorrow. And that's going to be it. Oh, by the way, next week, guys, we're not going to have a show. I'm going to be out, actually, family vacation, which is long overdue. So we'll have to continue 2 weeks after that. We'll get a chance to talk. We'll let the announcement simmer for like a good week, and then we'll be able to talk about what the new cards and what everything is, what's in store for us. But until then, and lastly, big shout out to Tempo Storm for sponsoring the show and all their sponsors, C2A, Twitch, and Curse. Until next time, guys, for Chakki, Firebat, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next time. Later.